What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Galaxy Sports Supreme podcast. I'm your host, AP. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon. So, doing another follow-up podcast from the one I did last night about Boots' dominant performance, statement win over Lima. I know going into this fight, Boots was damned if he do, damned if he don't. If he whitewash him, people will complain. If he went 7 or 8 rounds with Boots, people would complain. So it was one of them type of situations. But it is what it is. He made a statement. Lima had never been knocked down before, ever. Never been knocked out before. Natural 154-pounder, even fought at 160 before. Boots' power carried very well. Sometimes when a fighter moves up, you don't know how their power going to carry. But he carried like he ain't lose a step, period. Also want to talk about, Ortiz and Bud. Bernie the boxer came out and said it would take upwards of $100 million. Let me repeat that. $100 million to get Bud in the ring with Boots, probably at 160. That's what you call pricing yourself out the fight to avoid a fighter. And I'm going to call a duck, like I would call a spade. That's a duck move. You know $100 million is not reasonable to fight Boots. You throw that number out there because you know you're not going to get that number. Turkey is not going to pay you $100 million to fight Boots at 160. It's not going to happen. And just on another note, when Bud fought Madrimov, none of us heard of Madrimov. I think he had 8 fights, 9 fights, professional fights. Nobody knew who Madrimov was. So I'm just saying people need to keep that same energy. If you saying you knew who Madrimov was, you lying. None of us knew who Madrimov was with only 8 or 9 fights, if I'm not mistaken. So just keep that same energy when it comes to that. Lima was supposed to be a solid competitor. All the video I watched, he looked like he was going to be a solid competitor. I had the fight going 6, 7 rounds. Boots wasn't playing. Got him out of there first round. See, you got to understand, Boots and Bud don't fight alike. Yeah, they switch hit, but Boots is more like Marvin Hagler than Bud. Boots goes after a motherfucker, period. He goes after them. He stalks. Bud is more of a counterpuncher. You throw a punch at Bud, he duck it, and he let loose a 3-4 punch combination. That ain't Boots. Boots can fight like that if he want, but Boots is a killer. He's a killer. Fight nothing like Bud Crawford at all. Nothing. One thing I kind of noticed about last night and this morning, guess who's kind of quiet? I ain't seen no tweets, no X from Oscar. I ain't seen nothing from Ortiz. They like, oh, shit. They see it. Boxers make business decisions. They know already. They know. You think Ortiz don't know? That is a very, very good chance he may not beat Boots. You think Oscar don't know? Listen, Oscar, his stable running a little dry. It's running a little dry. Ryan Garcia is on the shelf. Can't do no pay-per-views yet. After Ryan, I think all he got left is Ortiz. I don't think Oscar is too anxious to throw him in there with Boots yet. But we'll see. And for everybody who don't know, Boots has already signed his contract to fight Ortiz. The ball is in Ortiz's court. Ortiz has a very tough fight coming up against Lubin. That's almost, in my opinion, close to a 50-50. I give the slight edge to Ortiz. But if Lubin uses ring generalship and box smartly, and just don't stand there flat-footed in front of Ortiz, I think Lubin might can squeak out a victory. Now, from the Ortiz side of things, I think if Ortiz struggles and gets a slender win, I think it's a good chance he avoids Boots in the next fight. Especially if he struggles against Lubin. But if he's dominant against Lubin, that might give him a little bit more balls. Maybe. Maybe. That might give him a little bit more balls, but I have to see it to believe it. My personal opinion is I think it's a good chance Ortiz does not fight Boots after Lubin when he wins. I don't think he will. That's just my personal opinion. Prove me wrong. Everybody say you got to show me, right? Boots got to show you. Ortiz got to show he wants the Boots fight. Right now, I don't see that energy. I don't see that energy from Ortiz, but we'll see. And another aspect people don't talk about with Boots, offensive fighters get hit. They get hit. Manny Pacquiao's offensive fighters get hit. Hagler's, they get hit. Boots has a very, very good chin. That's important. Nobody talks about that. He has a very good chin. Very good chin. I think that's another key aspect to his fight, to him as a fighter, is his chin. Now, like I said, people try to say, they try to say Boots is a hybrid of Roy Jones and Bud Crawford. Fuck that. Nah. He's a hybrid of Roy Jones and Marvin Hagler. That's who he's a hybrid of. Hagler was a killer. Hagler went after you. Hagler wasn't sitting back waiting for you to throw a punch then try to counter you. Nah, that wasn't Hagler. Hagler was also a switch hitter. Hagler went after you. He stalked you, just like Boots. So nah, enough of that hybrid between Roy and Bud. Nah, it's Roy and Hagler, period. And, I want to talk about, before Boots got this fight, who the fuck did y'all want to see him fight? Let's take a step back real quick and look at some things. All right? Let's look at some things. Let's see who was available and who wasn't available. At the time, Boots was looking for a fight. Lubin wasn't. You know why? Because Lubin was in a purse bid with Bakram. So Bakram and Lubin were off the board. Bakram and Lubin were off the board. Fundera was in the middle of negotiating with Keith Thurman. And Ortiz said his hand was not ready and he couldn't fight in September or October. So who the fuck did y'all want him to fight? I don't see too many answers. Charlo wasn't trying to fight Boots at this point. 3 months ago, Charlo was not trying to fight Boots. He started putting out these memes after Boots had already signed. So who did y'all want him to fight? Eddie Hearn said he offered Boachuk 7 figures to get in there with Boots. Boachuk said, hell nah. He went on to fight Adams and got his ass whooped. So I'm saying, who did y'all want him to fight? Now, we know who we want him to fight next. Ortiz, Bakram, Fundora, Charlo. I prefer jokers with a belt, but we'll take the Charlo fight. Let's see who steps up to fight him, because you got to remember, we all want to see him fight better comp, but the whole thing is the other fighter got to say yes to fighting him. If the other fighter say no, that's not Boots' fault. That's not Boots' fault. He's called out everybody at 154 that got a belt and all the big names. What else can he do? The other fighters got to say yes. Listen, the most telling shit about the whole thing is Boots has already signed his contract to fight Ortiz, but Ortiz has not signed. So is that going to be Boots' fault if Ortiz does not fight him? Again, Boots has already signed his contract to fight Ortiz. Ortiz has not signed his part. He already coming out with excuses, talking about we offered to fight him already and he turned it down. That's when Boots was at 47 and Ortiz was at 54. That's water under the bridge. Stop with that 6th grade excuse. Stop with that 6th grade excuse. So, I just wanted to put it out there. He was damned if he do, damned if he don't. He went out there and made a statement. Now let's see if Ortiz gets past Lubin, and let's see if Ortiz got the balls to sign his part of the contract, or will he duck? Salute to Bakram. Bakram say he ready. Hey, Boots will take that fight if Ortiz don't want it. He'll gladly fight Bakram. He wanted to fight Bakram before Bakram and Lubin got into a discussion, to fight each other. Boots ain't scared of these motherfuckers. I don't know why people think like he ducking. You see the talent, you see the chin, you see the speed, you see the power. What the fuck else you need to see? Why would he be afraid of those niggas? There is no reason. Y'all just mad, just hating. Hate on Boots for no motherfucking reason. He don't get out here and talk shit, talk crazy. He talks in the ring. That's it. But you got motherfuckers hating on him. For what? It's crazy. He gives the fans what we want to see, which is action. He ain't running and playing all this motherfucking defense. He's action. He's going to hit and get hit. We want action. And we got action with Boots. Ain't no need to hate. The kid don't talk crazy. He ain't out here in the streets doing crazy shit like AB. So give this kid the credit. And when he finally get Ortiz in the ring, watch what happens. Boots is going to stop him in 5 or 6, maybe earlier. Ortiz is going to take a tremendous beating in this fight. Tremendous beating. Did y'all see how Ortiz looked after the Boachuk fight? Looked like he got jumped. Looked like he got jumped. And don't forget, Boachuk put Ortiz on the canvas. Not once, but twice. Let me repeat that. Boachuk put Ortiz on the canvas twice. What the hell you think Boots gonna do to him? We can only sit back and hope if Ortiz gets past Lubin, we can find out. So with that being said, until next time, be safe. Remember, your health is your wealth. Peace.